Really, you want to start drilling now? Thank you. Hello lovely bookworms, I'm Esmay from Paradise of Pages on Instagram, and welcome to a new video. And in today's video I'll be reviewing Mirage by Somaya Dodd. I would like to put a small disclaimer in the front. No matter what it is I'm saying, I do not wish to offend anybody, and this is merely my personal opinion. That said, I think we should start with a review, so without further ado, let's get into it. I will be putting spoilers in this review, but don't you worry, I'm going to start off with a spoiler-free part so that if you are planning to pick up this book, you can see whether it's something for you or you just want to leave this one be. I will mention when the spoilers will come in so that you have the time to get out of here and come back when you're done. That said, I want to start off with the plot. So basically what this book is about, it is about a girl named Amani who is kidnapped on the night of her majority, or something along those lines. That's what they call it. Basically what this means is this is the night you truly become an adult, she becomes a woman, and right after the ceremony, or in the middle of it actually, they're still celebrating, she is kidnapped and she is taken to the royal palace where the royal family lives. They've taken over with brute force and a lot of people are not so happy about their reign. The reason why she is kidnapped is due to the fact that she looks like the princess a lot. She's the splitting image of her. This princess called Mirage, I hope I'm saying that correctly, but I'm just gonna call her Mirage so you know who I'm talking about. The princess called Mirage, whenever she has to go in public, it could be very dangerous for her. So the reason why they have Amani is so that she can go in her place and take the fall whenever something happens, or if something happens. This is the starting point of the book, and from there on a lot of things transpire. You get a love interest, which is already mentioned in the synopsis. The true synopsis I will link down below because I'm personally not the best at giving synopsises for books, which I think is one of the reasons why there are not a lot of reviews up on the channel, but also one of the reasons why I try to sort of slither back and go into what I think about a book more than the plot. Basically, you get the love interest called Idris, and he's basically Mirage's fiance. I think the premise of the book is really interesting. Having a double, having to become someone else, having to put on a show, and saving someone's life whom you might not like as much or hate indefinitely. However, I think that this book is very much setting up for the other books in the trilogy, because I believe it will be a trilogy. And you could really feel that in every inch of the book. There are a lot of things that for me felt rushed. One thing being the romance, but in general also the relationships in this book felt really rushed, like the friendships and the things that you see in this book, just to set up the second book. There are also no sweeping actions, which I found a little bit sad, and I can tell you that I enjoyed it, and I would probably read it again if I knew this beforehand, but it is not my absolute favorite. That said, this will be the end of the non-spoilery bit of this video, so if you don't want to see spoilers, please just press away and come back when you're done with the book. If you still want to know my true feelings about the book with spoilers and all, please continue watching. I will start off with the thing that I disliked most about this book, and usually is my absolute favorite part in books, and that is the romance. Within this book, Amani meets Idris, who is Mirage's fiance, and at some point he and Amani have to go to Mirage's grandmother, and he joins her on this journey, and from one point to the next, all of a sudden they're kissing and they're in love, which I found incredibly weird. They actually meet during a ball, and then they have to travel to her grandmother, or her fake grandmother, and then I don't know how they transpired from going to strangers to going to lovers. It just went so incredibly fast, and for me, the insta-love in this book was just so immense because it felt like they went from 0 to 100 in an hour. And that is one thing that I don't like at all. I like smoldering romances that take time to build a relationship And I do love intense romance, the kind that goes into the category of I would gladly die for you. I love reading those. But this one it was just so wrong to me. And in the same way, it was also with the friendships. The fragile friendship that was built between Miram and Amani, it also felt very rushed. On the one hand, Miram was torturing her and had a crow or some kind of bird actually tear her flesh apart. And then, I don't know, like 50 or 60 pages later, they were playing games together. And it just felt so weird. And then in the ending of the book, when Miram realizes that Amani is actually connected to the rebels, she goes back to hurting her to such a massive degree. And I get that Miram is a flawed character. She's so flawed, and this is also one of the reasons that she was my favorite in the book. But I just don't get how you go from 0 to 100. I get that you want to set up the book, but do it right. Add 100 or 200 pages to the first book. Make it a big book, and then build it slowly, because you cannot build relationships this way, at least in my opinion. Then something that I did really enjoy, and that was the world building. I loved the idea that there were multiple moons, and the wars, they were also very interesting, but I have the feeling that I would have liked to see more about it, more of the history, more of the way the world worked, and also I really liked the myth that was behind it, the religion that they believe in. I think we'll probably see more of that in book 2, but I really, really enjoyed that in this one. Then another thing that was bothering me a lot, and that's the fact that it feels like nothing happens. Okay, Amani is kidnapped. Yes, that's a major thing that happens. Then she has to become Miram and play the part to perfection, otherwise she'll lose her life, or the one she loves will lose her life. Okay, I get it. Working through that. And then there's a long bit that basically just is Amani going to events that being explained in vague details very shortly, and then moving on to the next thing. And I thought, okay, this is leading up to a gigantic thing at the end where they realize that Amani is actually not Miram, and there's a double, and there's things happening, and the rebellion going in. And yes, there is the event at the end where they realize that Amani is actually connected to the rebels, because the rebel tries to shoot her and then doesn't. But I just would have liked a sweeping moment, a big action at the end that would set up the next book, which I felt wasn't really there. Yes, something happened, but it just felt so flat, which is the same thing with the relationships, but also the characters themselves. The characters themselves don't seem to be going through a big progress of changing their behavior and changing who they are. Yes, Amani has to go from being just Amani to also playing the part of Miram, but she's still the same person in the beginning of the book that she is in the end of the book, in my opinion. Same way with Idris. And then the one person who does go through change is Miram. She goes from being a horrible person to realizing what she's doing, actually, or to a degree, and she becomes a nicer person. But then in the end, she just falls back to her old ways and what she's done. I do think that she made progress, and she's a well and nicely rounded character, and she to me is very, very interesting. One thing I did also really enjoy about the book was the pace. It was very fast. I flew right through it. I think I read it maybe in a day. I read it sparingly, but it was very quick, and I do really enjoy that about books sometimes. I still think that it was quite enjoyable, and I liked the characters well enough. They might not be the best rounded characters or with the best progress or change, but they were likable enough. The romance is one thing that I did not like at all. I get why they're together. I think I like the characters separately, and I might also like them together, but the way in which they came together was just too quick for me to enjoy it. But, you know, you can't have it all. All in all, I think I did really appreciate this book, and I will definitely be reading the next book in the series. And overall, I have to say I liked it, but I didn't love it. I also didn't hate it, though. So I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. I think that is everything for this review. It might feel like I'm rambling a bit, but reviews are just something that I struggle with when I'm speaking. It's easier when I write things down, but I'm trying to become better. If there are books that you would like me to review, please comment down below. I'll see if I've either read them or if I have time to read them, but I will take your recommendations into account. If you have a general recommendation for a book, please let me know. I'd always love to know more about books, so if you can reply a book down below that you think I might not know, that'd be great. I want to thank you all for watching. Please subscribe to our channel and press that little bell icon so you get post notifications every single time that we post. Give this video a thumbs up and I will see you guys the next time. Bye!